Okay, the whole business here started, I don't know when, it was in 1973. And I came home from work and my son, well anyway, I came up the street and all the maple trees had plastic milk bottles on them. And I had no idea what was going on, and there was smoke coming out of the fireplace over there by the woods. And my son Larry, who I guess was in 8th or 9th grade, I don't know, he had decided it was time to tap maple trees and get maple syrup. And he was, he made some taps out of, oh, Bryce, see that copper tap up there? Can you reach that copper thing right next to the axe? Yeah, bring it down. He had fashioned his own taps out of copper tubing, which we have one here, which he had made originally. And he had these bored into the trees, and he was hanging plastic milk bottles on them, and he was boiling this gosh awful looking stuff out in the backyard. And that started it. I think we still have a quart of his original syrup, which looks like, you know, number 30 motor oil. It's in the refrigerator. But then we began to refine bit by bit. About 2 years later, I was up in Dummerston, Vermont, and a guy was selling out his maple syrup business, and he had hundreds of buckets around. Don Hazelton. That's why some of our buckets have an H on them still. He was selling them all for 10 cents a piece, and I filled the back of the car with them, and my wife said, "You're crazy," but she knew that. And we brought that down and brought them down, and the next year we began to tap a little bit more earnest, and we got ourselves a pan boiler for $50 from someplace and set it up on the fireplace out back here. And when it snowed, we built a scaffolding around it with some tin roofing on top. And when the wind blew, we put scaffolds to it. We put aluminum siding on the sides of it and survived that way. And bit by bit, we ended up getting something more fancy. And this was built in 1993.
Yes.
This was built in 1993. We brought in an old Canadian boiler. We used that for about 15 years and replaced it with this new one just now. We tap about 35 taps each year on my property, on the Doyle's property across the street, on Ettinger's down the street. And how many taps have you got at your place this year? You got 11 taps over in Newtown at Larry's house. And we collect every afternoon. But if it's running like this, collect twice a day. It's a pain in the neck. Keeps you busy, keeps you going. But somebody has to do it. Somebody has to do it. And so we do.